somebody's wife.
$250,000. $200,000. The type of wedding you want, that's how much it costs. You're bugging the We're gonna invest that. My job as a man is to hold the household down, and she hasn't worked in years. I'm not spending $250,000 on a wedding. I'm not doing it.
So you have no plans on getting married?
I had plans on let's go to City Hall.
I'm not a City Hall bitch! Stop saying City Hall, because shit about to get left. Like, I'm telling you right now.
At the end of the day, I love you more than life itself. Like, we're broke. Out your mouth.
You
that's not broke.
Too much.
That's smart.
Broke people be.
But you gotta be easy with all this.
Love ain't enough. How long you plan on being broke? Love ain't enough. How long you plan on being broke? Love ain't enough. How long you plan on being broke?
I'm just saying, leave and see what your ass be.
What's up, family? How y'all doing? It is your girl, your diva, and knowledge. Lady Mocha, represent Mocha's Cafe de Paris, where I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Big ups to everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. So, nevertheless, y'all, this clip has gone viral. Everybody's been talking about it. And I just so happened ran across one of these bloggers that was giving their opinion on Facebook on the situation. So nevertheless, I'm no longer a fan of lies and flip-flop. You know, I've been stopped watching Love and Hip Hop years ago. It has become manufactured. It's become very scripted. It's overly animated. People got the makeup drama and just be messy and chaotic just to stay relevant. Not to mention the botched surgeries. These women are doing extensive surgeries to their bodies because it's newer, younger women that's coming to the cast. So now that they got competition, they overdoing the surgery. So it's just these reality shows have become very artificial. So I'm no longer a fan of the show, but nevertheless, this particular clip from the show has gone viral and everybody's been talking about it, which is the reason why I displayed it in the beginning of the content. So nevertheless, what's going on, because some of y'all like me probably have outgrown the show and you probably don't know these new people, you probably don't know the cast. Shit, I don't either. I've lost, you know, interest in the show ever since Jocelyn and Stevie and Mimi and, you know, all the veterans that was actually on the show. They got all these, you know, off-brand people that I don't know that's on the show. So I've been lost interest. So this was going on, y'all, for those of y'all who are lost in the sauce. This week on Family Reunion Love and Hip Hop Edition, the cast enjoyed an after party until Jen arrived and started to complain about Fresher, which is the couple you seen in the clip. The two have been fighting over their marriage plans, and Jen got offended after Fresher suggested that they have a City Hall wedding. She told the cast that marriage was a triggering goal for her and was supported by Ashley. However, Scrap told Jen, which is one of the other guys on the show, that if a woman truly loves a man, she should marry him anywhere. Scrap and Jen's argument led the entire party to stop, and others accused the latter of ruining the after party. Fresher later told his friends Gunplay and Scrap that he wanted to invest some money for the future, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, and Jen's plan to have $1 million wedding would ruin it. Jen participated in the couple's party event the day after their fight to make Fresher realize that she did not deserve a City Hall wedding. She also told her friends that she was willing to leave her partner of 20 years and restart all over again if he did not marry her in the next 2 years. Family Reunion Love and Hip Hop Edition fans were doubtful of the same, as the two have been engaged for the past many years. Jen even broke up with him once, only to get engaged to him for the second time in 2020. Jen and Fresher have been together since 6th grade and have 2 kids together. Their relationship has been through many ups and downs, but Jen refused to leave Fresher even when he was accused of committing a fraud worth $60,000 with another woman. Family Reunion Love and Hip Hop Edition fans felt that Fresher was right about not spending too much money on their wedding and said that Jen would not leave him as she could not move on. So, very interesting intake. Like I said, everybody's been, you know, blowing up Twitter, blowing up Facebook about this particular clip, and it has gone viral. So of course, I want to give my own intake on this situation as well. Because you know what, it's many women who have this type of mindset. They are more concerned with the wedding than the actual marriage, and I find it very ironic that you have people that will spend thousands and thousands on a wedding before they even go and get a marriage counselor to make sure that they're equally yoked, to make sure that they both have a solid understanding when it comes to building a lifetime commitment. And you have a lot of women this is their mindset. They're more concerned about the wedding than the marriage, only to find out when they actually get married and the venue is over, everybody who they wore their beautiful wedding dresses for, flaunting and flexing for, after the beautiful wedding cake, after the $1,000 wedding dress, after renting the limo, after renting out the big $50,000 building or whatever the case, all of this money, only for them to, behind closed doors, after the wedding is over, find out they got to deal with the real reality of marriage. That marriage takes works, marriage takes maturity, and marriage definitely takes people that are grown. And when I mean marriage is for grown folks, it's literally for grown folks. You get what I'm saying? So, nevertheless, this is my personal intake on this. First of all, I did not watch any other bloggers comment on this because I don't want to piggyback off of, man, why is people texting me? I didn't want to piggyback off of anybody else's opinion. I didn't want nobody else's opinion fogging my perspective or my judgment on it. But my personal opinion is this. If Fresher is already having an issue with his fiance, him and Jen are not seeing eye to eye on the finances and what's the priorities when it comes to having an expensive, extravagant wedding compared to investing, saving up money, especially being that we're going through a pandemic. The homeless rates are high. People are losing their homes. Homes are going into foreclosures. There's just so much at stake right now. And it has transpired significantly since the pandemic and the COVID. It's just way too much at stake to be concerned about having a $250,000 wedding. So if him and her are already at odds, I hope he understands that this is just the tip of the iceberg that is yet to come. If she's one of these type of women that already has this mindset that she wants a $250,000 wedding, I guarantee you, once he marries her, if he were to go along with this and agree, which from the looks of it, it sounds like he's not, but let's say for argument's sake that he decided to do this $250,000 wedding. First of all, once he opens this door and he agrees to this, he's going to find himself agreeing to other things that's going to consistently keep them in debt. You have a lot of men right now that are totally way in over their heads financially and mentally because they have this beautiful woman who's their wife or fiance they want so hard to please, or the mother of their children. They want so badly to please this woman that they're willing to put themselves in debt. Debt meaning spending way outside of their way outside of their budget, what they can afford. Not only that, they're gonna constantly have to keep working to supply the needs of her demands, because it sounds like to me she's a very expensive, extravagant type of female. She sounds like to me she has this secure in the bag mentality, and she's all about fronting and flexing instead of investing. And anytime you have and it goes both ways, if you're a woman and you got a man that's like that, or if you're a man who has a woman that's all about flexing instead of investing, you are definitely going to sink with this type of person that has this type of mindset, okay? Because for one, like I stated, we got the pandemic. For two, as he mentioned, this woman does not even work. And see, it's easy for somebody who's not working, who's not contributing, who's not the breadwinner, they're not bringing in the bread, to sit up here and opinionate on what the money should be spent on. For instance, I'm a housewife. I do not work. I'm not paying bills right now. My husband is paying all of the bills. So the last thing I want to do is be a burden to him and put him in a position where he has to work so hard to please us, to please me, to fulfill an image or materialistic lifestyle, to where he's mentally stressed out, he's burnt out, he's broke, you know, trying to live above and beyond his means, simply off the strength that I want to flex and impress my family and impress my friends. I have to be willing to have a lifestyle in which both of us are comfortable, because it has to benefit the both of us. It cannot just benefit me. You have a lot of women that are lonely, that are miserable in marriages with men that work a lot. Because at the same time, the reason why some of these men got to work so much, they're constantly away from home. Like you got these athletes that's always always traveling, because they got games, you know, in other countries or out of state. You have these rappers in the industry that are constantly on tour. You have all of these men within the industry that make all of this money, but it comes with a sacrifice. Their wives barely see them. Their children barely see them. You have a lot of married single moms that got to hold down these mansions, got to hold down the Bentley and the Porsches, while these men constantly travel and invest into their career. That way their wives and their children can have the lifestyle that they have. It's a lot that comes with it. And this is the reason why, there's so many things that come with the territory of putting a man in a position in which he has to work so hard to the point to where you want a $250,000 wedding, which absolutely makes no sense. There's so many ways you can have a beautiful wedding and you don't have to spend that much money. And not to mention, I know people who have spent big money on weddings and they're not even together. Okay? And it's sad because the debt is outweighing marriages. I know some people that are still paying for marriages with companions they're not even married to anymore. This is how serious this type of investment is. You got people that still up here paying for $300,000 weddings, $500,000 weddings, and they're not even together anymore. It's a lot of celebrities we can name on hand that have had big extravagant weddings and they're not even together anymore. You can look at Lala and Carmelo Anthony, who had the big old wedding. Remember when they had the reality show and it was a beautiful wedding, very extravagant, but they're not together anymore. Same thing with Toni Braxton and her ex-husband, Carrie, I'm not sure what his last name is, but he was in the group Mint Condition. He was one of the man members, but I remember his name is Carrie. They had the big old extravagant wedding. They're not married anymore. So what a lot of women have to understand, how much money a man spends on a marriage does not dictate or define if your marriage is going to be successful. What makes a marriage successful is two people who genuinely love each other, who genuinely want to be together, who genuinely want to build, have a solid foundation for their children, for their family, and they're willing to put in the work. They're both willing to put in the effort. Not one who's doing all the work while the other one is sitting back chilling, and vice versa. They both have to be willing to put in the work. But if this man is already having issues with this woman, not understanding where he's coming from, which what he is saying makes perfect logical sense. In this day and age, it's all about investing, not flexing, because people are living in homes, living in hotels. Like I said, rent is skyrocket high. These landlords are taking advantage of the pandemic by intentionally making rent 20 times higher than what it has to be. Not only that, you have a lot of these jobs that are also taking advantage of people, knowing people got to work, knowing people have to provide. So they're still slave driving these employees, still not really paying them. You got some places still paying $15 an hour, knowing we're still, dealing with the damage, the aftermath of the pandemic. Just about every company at this point should be at least, every business should be at least paying $20 an hour. That should be the minimum. But you got jobs that are playing on the desperation of people because they know people got to make money however they can make it. So being a mature woman, you understand what a lot of us are up against when it comes to trying to survive out here in the real world. I'm not understanding where's her mindset, why she thinks this is acceptable to have a $250,000 wedding, not realizing it's not so much the wedding that's going to make the moment, that's going to make that day memorable. That's part of it, but you got to be realistic. You do have some men, they will spend. You got some men that are just that in love, or just that rich, or they're just that gullible. They'll do anything they woman say do. They'll pay $250,000 for a wedding, only to get in their first argument with this woman, and she turns around and say, you ain't shit, you ain't never did nothing for me. You know, the only for it to be thrown back in his face that he ain't never did shit. You get what I'm saying? So you do have some men who will, you know, they will try to meet these type of requirements just to please a woman. Okay. However, that's the type of dude she should have been trying to look for then. You got to be realistic with the type of man you have. I know my husband is not a millionaire. I know he makes really good money, but not that kind of money to where he's going to basically be slave driving for almost a year or two just so we can have a $250,000 wedding for people that's most likely going to come, that does have an importance and significance in my life, but they're not going to be the ones that's going to be stuck with a lifetime of debt. They're going to come to my wedding, bring me some gifts from Bath and Body Works or Bath, Bed and Beyond, and they're going to keep it moving. Meanwhile, we're going to be stuck with this debt. Why not have a simple, nice wedding? And if you want to go all out, have a honeymoon in Paris somewhere, in Paris. You know, if you want to be extravagant, have an extravagant experience together, like travel, see the world, or something, things of that nature. But other than that, he's absolutely right. Times are very fickle. This is not the time to be having a $250,000 wedding. Listen, boo, if you really love that man like you say you love that man, guess what? You gonna make it happen. Whether if it's at a courthouse, whether if it's at a church, whatever you choose to. And I get it. You got some women who got these standards, but he has to realize, if this is how his woman thinks, and this is her principle as to what she feels real love is about, having a $250,000 wedding, well, he's just gonna have to prepare himself to be able to deal with, this is the monster he's going to be marrying. He's going to have to deal with it. This is just the beginning, because once he does this, the demands are only going to get higher. She's going to want the expensive mansion. She's going to want the Porsche, the Phantom, the Bentley, the Lamborghini. She's going to get once you open one door, once you start people with this mindset, once you start them with one thing, it's just going to keep getting more and more out of hand. You will stay broke with a woman who has this type of mindset. These days, I'm all about investing, because I know times are hard. Things can happen. People are dying every day. You know, she's not thinking about stuff like that. And you have a lot of women that don't think about stuff like that. My husband does construction. You know, he fell off a roof a couple of months ago and he injured himself. You know, he injured his wrist, and he had fractured a couple of bones within his wrist, and his hands are part of his livelihood. And he very well could have, you know, God forbid, you know, he could have really been injured where he could have ended up paralyzed, or he could have permanently damaged his hands, or has fractured himself to where he never could have worked again. And, you know, you have to be mentally prepared for stuff like that. You have some people, they never prepare for the worst. It's all about shopping. It's all about splurging. It's all about flexing and impressing, trying to prove and stunt to your girlfriends that's broke and struggling, trying to secure the bag. You know, she's not even looking at the fact, at least she has a man who wants to marry her. You have so many women out here who want to get married, and they're having a hard time even finding a man that's willing to be with them and be consistent and stand with them through the good and the bad. They have been together since 6th grade, so That's already a blessing within itself. She's not looking at how blessed she is, because there's so many women out here who want what she has. And I don't mean a $250,000 wedding. They want a man that's going to stick and be dedicated. He's the father of her children. He's still in her kids' lives. He doesn't express on the clip how much he loves her. You know, that simple things like this are very hard to find. They're very rare now. A lot of these dudes don't want to get married. A lot of these dudes don't want to have a family. You know, so the fact that she's with a man who still has this mindset of wanting to marry, wanting to have a family, wanting to invest, what the hell else could you ask for? It's a woman right now who's dealing with a Tyrone that's laying on her sofa, wearing out her Netflix, the buttons on her Netflix remote, on her Fire Stick. He ain't trying to make no plans. He ain't trying to take it to the next level. She wants to get married. She wants to build. All he's worrying about is if her food stamps came on time this month, so he could finish drinking up the kids' Capri Suns and Debbie snacks. You have some men out here who have no ambition, no goals, no plans, and the fact that she has a man that's even willing to consider their future. It just goes to show you what the obstacles that a lot of these men are up against. And I get it, because women, we go through our share of hell too. We go through our problems too. There's good women out there who just keep picking up ain't shit ass dudes that don't want nothing. But you have a lot of men out here who got this kind of women who got this gold digging, you know, mindset mentality. And like I said, if this is the woman he plans on being with, and if she does not humble herself or at least try to reconsider what he's saying, which actually makes sense, because let me tell you something, I can give y'all a real life scenario. I remember, you know, my husband, you got to realize he's from Carolina. He's a country man, okay? He's a country boy, country man now. So he's used to being in the struggle. He's used to coming up, working hard for everything. And I remembered, you know, because I was in my 20s at the time when we were dating and stuff before we had our daughter. And I remember I wanted that type of American dream like a lot of women want. I wanted that $250,000 house, okay? You know, I know the feeling when you drive through these neighborhoods and you see these big old beautiful houses and these beautiful lawns with green grass. I mean, it's every woman's dream to have a beautiful home. And I remembered, you know, visiting a girlfriend of mine who was staying in a real extravagant gated community. And I remember at the time we was living in our modular home. And I just remember, you know, I won't say I was hating, but, you know, sometimes jealousy, the green-eyed monster, will poke at you sometimes because you are a human being. And I remember like, wow, this is just so beautiful. You know, her house was huge, it had a backyard, front yard. I mean, a beautiful ambiance where you can invite your family, your friends over to have barbecues and martini and pasta. And I'm like, you know, I would love to have something like this. And I remember talking to my husband about it, you know, and he was like, you know, look, all of that sounds great and wonderful, and I get it. You a woman. That's what women, that's what y'all do. Y'all see y'all girlfriends with something nice and extravagant. Y'all want it too. He said, I get it. You a woman. That's just how y'all are. He said, however, you got to realize, if we were to invest in a house like that, you're going to constantly be working, and so am I. He said, because it's going to be very hard for me to pull a house, not just the mortgage. He said that wouldn't be the issue, but you have to realize things happen. You know, it's not that I can't afford to pay the mortgage, it's not that I can't afford to pay the light bill and the water bill. He said, I could move us in a house like this, but my thing is, if I were to get sick or I get hurt, then what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to step in and you're going to have to work. Because see, I've always was one of those women, I worked if I felt like it or if I didn't feel like it. You get what I'm saying? So my husband never really forced me to ever really work because he has his own business. So I'm like the secretary of that or whatever. But I've always been one of those women. I work when I want to work and if I feel like working, and it doesn't really bother him. But he had to make me realistically understand, if he gets sick or he gets hurt, things happen. You know, couples break up, get back together, and here it is, you 3-4 months behind on your mortgage because y'all had a falling out or a disagreement about something, and y'all needed that time for separation. So basically, he made me understand that you talking about a mortgage that's a 30-40 year plan. Anything, 30-40 year commitment, anything can happen within them 30 to 40 years. I want us to get something that's affordable where we fix it up as we go. That way we own our home by the time we're in our 40s. We can travel. We can see the world. We're not one of those people that got to go on a vacation for just a weekend because we got to hurry up and come back because our mortgage is due on the 1st. Or we got to hurry up and come back because we got to make all these hours on our jobs so we can continue to pay for this extravagant lifestyle. He said, he's basically told me, I want us to be in a place in which we can be debt free. That way we can travel, do what we want, and we ain't got all this pressure. We can come and go as we want, travel as we want, and we ain't got to look at the time, and we ain't got to look at how many hours we made on our paycheck. And at that time, me being younger than him, I really couldn't understand that because my husband 4 years older than me. I really couldn't understand that, but I didn't buck the system because, for one, I ain't had it like that to run over him to tell him what I want and how I want it. My husband doesn't let me, run over him. So I could express myself, but at the end of the day, he was going to do what he felt was best for us. And seeing the way things ended up, not even knowing we was going to deal with COVID, not even knowing I was going to lose my job, working at the jail, not even knowing that, I'm so glad I did listen to him, because we would have been one of those out there in the streets, you know what I mean? Because so much has happened. He got injured one time and fell off the roof and was out of work for like 2-3 months, but he had enough in the bank saved up to where we was able to still manage, because we're not paying mortgage. All we paying is our taxes once a year, and we just pay our utilities because we own our home. And we did all of this before we got in our 40s, you know. So we paid off our modular home when I was 36 years old. And I just remember that feeling of when we gave these people our last payment to get that deed and that title, how we no longer was obligated to having to deal with banks, having to deal with landlords. And it's so unfortunate because my same girlfriend who had that house, she doesn't even live there anymore. Because things just kept happening. You know, things happened with her job. Things happened with her husband's finances. So they ended up having to move out of that big old beautiful house and had to downgrade. And she even told me, man, I wish we would have did it the way y'all did it. You know what I mean? Because we would have saved ourselves a lot of headaches. And we wouldn't have been going through all of what we've been going through. And not to mention, let me tell y'all something. Debt puts a big toll on marriage. Debt kills marriages. Not just cheating, you know, not just gambling money, not just alcohol and drugs. Debt is killing a lot of marriages. I'm telling you that now, because you got a lot of wives and some husbands, they want to stunt and flex. Now, if you got it like that, and you can get Phantoms and Porsches and Bentleys, and, you know, you ain't got to, you know what I mean, peek and check your account every month to make sure you don't have a negative balance, then do you. Enjoy your best life. But for us average folks who ain't got it like that, you got to be realistic with your situation. You go out there and you make your husband put y'all in a big old house y'all can't afford, make your husband pay for a big old wedding that y'all can't afford. Eventually, it's going to take a toll on y'all marriage. It's going to take a toll when the pressure of having to keep up that lifestyle. That is what happened to Chris, I won't say gentleman, but that's what happened to the guy Chris Watts, who murdered his wife and took the lives of both his daughters. His wife had a very extravagant taste, and she was one of those wives you can tell she just loved her image, you know. And meanwhile, after, you know, the situation took place and unfolded, you know, after he, you know, took her life and their children's lives, it all came out later throughout the trial and throughout the case that this man was in a lot of debt. He was way in over his head trying to please his wife. And instead of him being a man, putting his foot down and saying, no, I cannot afford to keep footing the bill for this type of lifestyle. I cannot afford to keep up this charade so your family could be impressed, and your friends could be impressed. He took the coward way out. He took a life. He took her life, and I won't say that was the only reason he had an affair on her and all of that too. That was another reason he ended up becoming infatuated with another woman. But the main thing was he was trying to appease to a lifestyle that he could not afford. And as a woman, anytime you try to make a man appease to your lifestyle and he can't afford it, he's either going to resent you, or for it in the long run, he's going to resent you because he's going to feel like you made him step out on a limb that he really couldn't afford to step out upon, or either he's going to be gone away from you so much, having to fit the bill of this lifestyle to where you're not really going to have a marriage, because he's going to have to work so much. He's going to be gone a lot, having to supply this lifestyle. So you're not really going to have a marriage. You're going to be a married single mom. And you got a lot of married single mothers out there because they want to live a certain way. Got all these cars, got a closet full of expensive lingerie and red bottom shoes, but their husbands is never home to enjoy that lifestyle because he has to keep working to supply it. What good is money if you have nobody to share it with? What good is money is if it's gotten y'all to a place to where y'all both are so angry with each other because y'all both realize y'all bit off more than y'all could chew. Y'all got to let go of this house that you done flexed and pressed in front of your family and friends, and now you got to explain to them that you got to move. You know, the fact that you got this nice house but y'all miserable. He can't even sleep in the same bed with you because he's so tired from working so many hours. He can't even be intimate with you. He can't even make love to you because he's working so much. He's lost his stamina. You can have a wedding and not have a marriage, and that's what a lot of these women are not understanding. And an extravagant wedding does not define how solid or how good your marriage is going to be. I personally, we did get married at a courthouse. We did. And I've been married going on 24 years now. I know people who have had extravagant weddings, they're not even married. Matter of fact, I know more courthouse wedded people that are still together than couples who actually had big ass weddings. I'm going to just be frank with you. And maybe one or two had big weddings and are still together, but most of the couples I know, even my stepfather and my stepmom, they had a courthouse wedding and they've been married going on 30-something years. My mom and her husband, my father-in-law, they've been, is he my father-in-law? Yeah. They've been, stepfather. I'm getting everything mixed up. But, they had a courthouse wedding and they've been married going on 15 years. So it is what you make of your marriage, not how much you spend on a wedding. So note to all you young men out there, if you have a woman with this type of mindset, just get ready to work for the rest of your days, because her image is more important than your well-being. Because no woman should want her man being in debt so much to the point he got to work like a slave to keep financing a lifestyle. His health is declining, deteriorating. He's losing sleep. He's on all type of medication because he is so stressed out. And that's why these men come home. They don't want to be bothered with the kids. They don't want to be all romantic and all of this, because you cannot have it all the way around. You can't put a man in a lot of debt, but then you want him to, at the same time, you bitching and complaining. You don't spend time with me. You don't spend time with the kids. We don't never go anywhere. We don't never do anything, because you got him working like a slave, because at the end of the day, you want him to finance for this lifestyle that you want to keep fronting, instead of you living within your means so y'all both can have a marriage that's healthy for the both of you. So nevertheless, y'all, I just want to share my intake of my opinion on this matter. he's going to have his work cut out for him. I won't be surprised if he still decides to stay with her. It's going to go one of two ways. Either he's going to stay with her and stick to his guns, and she has to humble herself and say, okay, we don't have to do the big wedding. I'll downsize. Or either he's going to have to put his foot down. But if that's what you want, you need to find a man that's going to supply that, because that man is not going to be me. And if he got any sense, he better run for the hills if she's not willing to humble herself. And I get it, ladies. There's nothing wrong with wanting the best. And we heard all the excuses. Well, you only got one life to live. Your wedding is only one day. Yep, but debt is for a lifetime. So anyway, leave y'all comment below. Let me know what y'all think about the situation. It's your girl, your diva, and knowledge. Lady Mocha represent Mocha's Cafe de Paris, where I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Y'all be blessed. Take care.